When my wife died, my son said, "You can't bring Mom back, and my wife's birthday only comes once a year." The words struck like a slap I hadn't braced for. The very next day, he came to me with an urgent ask, acting as if nothing had happened at all. It felt like my one chance to make something right, for the insult he'd dealt me and the way he'd diminished his mother's memory. I decided I would take that chance. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and tell us where you're listening from in the comments. My fingers trembled as I dialed Jason's number at 8:30 a.m., adjusting my black tie for the third time. Linda's empty coffee mug sat on the counter with a faint lipstick print at the rim. The kitchen sounded cavernous without her low morning humming. 4 rings, then a groggy voice. "Yeah?" "Son, it's Dad." I straightened up. "The funeral starts at 11:30. From his end, heavy music thumped against the phone speaker. Laughter tumbled through the background. Amber's voice rose about decorations and balloons. Jason cleared his throat. "Dad, I told you yesterday. Amber's birthday party is tonight. We've had it planned for months." The words hit like ice water up the spine. I gripped the receiver harder. "Your mother's funeral is today, Jason. One time only. Look, Mom's not coming back, but my wife's birthday is once a year. We've got caterers coming. The band is setting up. Your mother raised you for 35 years. And I appreciate that," he said. "But I can't just leave Amber hanging on her special day. You understand, right?" The dial tone answered for him. I sat motionless for exactly 3 minutes, eyes fixed on Linda's reading glasses beside the phone. The kitchen clock showed 8:47 a.m. Morning light spilled through the windows she'd cleaned last week and caught on my wedding ring. The funeral program lay on the counter. Jason listed as a pallbearer. I took a pen and crossed out his name with steady strokes. At the cemetery, faces turned toward me in quiet expectation. "Where's Jason?" Linda's sister Carolyn asked again and again. I practiced my answer. "Important commitments?" The words tasted like tin. 23 people came to honor my wife of 40 years. Her son was not among them. I stood beside the casket surrounded by Linda's garden club friends and neighbors from Brookfield, the town we'd shared for decades. The space where Jason should have stood felt like a cliff edge. "She was so proud of that boy," Mrs. Porter whispered, always talking about how well he was doing. I nodded, swallowing past the tightness in my throat. Linda had defended him until she couldn't speak anymore. "He's busy with his new life," she'd said when he missed chemo. "Young couples need space." The minister spoke of family bonds and love stronger than death. I watched the soil fall onto polished wood, each shovel bearing not only Linda, but the story I'd told myself about our son. On the drive home, I squeezed the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. The passenger seat stretched emptily beside me. Linda always preferred her little hybrid to my truck. "Better for the planet," she'd say with a smile. The radio drifted into her favorite song. I turned it off. Our street looked unchanged. Neat lawns, fresh mulch, painted mailboxes. The life we made side by side for decades still stood polite as ever. I pulled into the driveway and sat a moment, gathering whatever strength it took to face the quiet inside. The front door key clicked in a way I'd heard 1,000 times. I hung my keys on the hook Linda had installed. Such a small habit felt enormous in the dense hush. No humming, no soft TV in the background, just a house settling around 40 years of memories. I loosened my black tie and sank into my armchair. The brown leather one Linda said clashed with her floral curtains. She'd wanted to redo this room for years. I was too busy, always. Now those curtains would stay just as they were. Our wedding photo beamed from the mantel. Linda at 23, luminous in her grandmother's dress. We married right here in Brookfield and promised everything we had. I kept that promise maybe more fiercely than was good for any of us. The memories came without asking. Jason wobbling his first steps across this very living room. Pudgy hands reaching for Linda's open arms. Birthday parties with handmade streamers, because store-bought decor was a luxury then. Linda worked double shifts at the diner while I built Bennett Contracting from nothing. She never complained. Not when I put in 16-hour days. Not when dinner was boxed macaroni for a week. "We're building Jason's future," she'd whisper after he fell asleep between us. Too small yet for his own bed. Her Bible sat on the nightstand, pages soft from years of turning. A note slid out. My dearest Frank, please don't let Jason forget us. We gave him all we had. I hope it was enough. Love, L. My fingers shook at her tidy script. In the closet, I found the keepsake box she'd hidden. Jason's report cards from kindergarten through college, every A+ circled in pen. Linda had added little messages. So proud. Our brilliant boy. The graduation photos cut deep as Jason in cap and gown. His degree paid for with Linda's overtime and my weekend jobs. Total cost, $200,000. His proud grin did not reflect the ledger of sacrifices beneath it. I fetched a calculator. The down payment we'd given him, $350,000. The wedding to Amber, $75,000. The first car, $35,000. Graduate school he insisted on and never used, $48,000. Then the emergencies. Vacations. Amber's shopping. Shaky business experiments. Linda's coffee mug was still in the dishwasher. Her paperback was open on the nightstand. A bookmark waited for eyes that would never return. Get-well cards from friends covered the kitchen counter people who showed up more than her own son. The numbers climbed. Jason's total over 15 years, 847,000. Nearly $1 million of our life poured into him with love and hope. I thought of my father, a stern man who gave me little but the expectation to stand on my own. Build your character, he'd said. Maybe he'd seen something I refused to see. Darkness settled outside. I didn't turn on the lights. A car idled in the driveway for a minute. I didn't move to check. If Jason wanted to come in, he knew where to find me. The engine revved and pulled away. At 6 a.m., I sat at my cherry desk with files and clean stacks. Jason education, Jason house, Jason wedding. My coffee cooled while I opened the calculator app and began a reckoning Linda had been too tender to demand. My reading glasses reflected the blue light of bank records. 15 years of transactions stamped to Jason or Jason emergency. Paper rustled in a house so quiet it startled me. College tuition first. 4 years at $52,000 each. I could still feel the pressure of writing those checks. Linda covered our bills with extra shifts while our son partied at Ohio State. Graduate school next $48,000 for an MBA he never finished, ditching classes to find himself in Europe. The Europe trip, $35,000. It's just until I'm established, Dad. The house almost broke us. Jason at 25 in our living room, Amber's ring glittering. We found the perfect place, Dad, but we're a little short on the down payment, $350,000. I co-signed the mortgage and covered every penny of the down payment. Family helps family, he'd said, hugging me. I'll pay you back once the business takes off. What business? He'd worked for me since graduation, drawing a salary he hadn't earned yet, learning skills I hoped he'd value someday. Linda's little spiral notebook slid from a folder, her handwriting tallying every deferred plan. Anniversary dinner canceled, $5,000 for Jason's car repair. Postponed my doctor visit. Wedding costs higher than expected. Switched to generic groceries. Sent Jason money Amber's birthday. The last line cut like wire. We gave Jason everything. I hope he remembers us kindly. The calculator beeped. 847,000, more than $750,000. My father gave me a $20 bill and a handshake when I moved out. I built everything else. Jason treated my work like a living inheritance to spend before we were gone. Last Christmas, he called my company a family business, as if he'd poured concrete right beside me instead of stepping into a cushioned role. Amber nodded approvingly, eyes bright with future spending. The part of me that runs a job site took over. This wasn't grief to be comforted. It was a problem to solve. I had lived by emotion too long, writing off caution signs Linda raised in whispers. Maybe we're doing too much, she'd said after Jason's last emergency ask. Her picture on the desk watched while I closed the files. I stood with something in me harder than grief. You were right to worry, I told her photo. The phone rang. Jason's name lit the caller ID. I let it buzz 4 times and answered, Hey, Dad, checking in. I hope you're doing okay after yesterday. It was the tone he used when he wanted something. He didn't mention the funeral. He didn't ask how it felt to come home to a house without Linda. I'm managing, I said, voice even. Good, good. So, I'm calling because we need to cover some unexpected costs. Amber's party was amazing, but we kind of went overboard. You know how it is. You only turn 32 once. Amber's voice drifted in the background. Tell him about the band. Yeah, we brought in this incredible live band. Took everyone to the Millhouse downtown. Got Amber a gorgeous diamond bracelet. She deserves the best. But now the cards are coming due, and we're looking at about 15 grand we need to clear right away. 15,000. Loan number 47 in the ledger I had just made. Yesterday I buried my wife. Today my son wanted me to fund his party. So can you wire it to my account today? Amber's really stressed. You know how she gets when she's worried. I looked at Linda's photo, then the tidy columns of numbers. No. Silence. Then, what do you mean no? Is the bank? I mean no, Jason. I won't be giving you any more money. The cheerful mask slipped. Are you serious? After everything we've been through this week? Everything we've been through, as though he had stood beside me at a gravesite instead of hosting a party. You're 35 years old, I said. So, parents help their kids. It's not like you can't afford it. Amber's voice rose. Tell him we need it. We already spent it. No, I repeated. The word felt new in my mouth. This is unbelievable, he snapped. Mom just died, and you're being petty about money. She'd want you to help. The manipulation had been rehearsed a lifetime. How many times had he played that card? How often had we folded because he invoked family? Your mother wanted you at her funeral, I said. Jason's breath came rough. Fine. We'll figure it out. We'll max out more cards, ask Amber's parents, whatever. But don't expect us to come around much if this is how you're going to be. The old threat floated there. For 35 years, his presence had been my reward for paying up. His absence, the penalty for saying no. I understand, I said calmly. You what? I understand. Take care, Jason. I hung up before he could reload. The phone sat silent. For the first time in decades, I'd ended a conversation with my son on my terms. I opened my laptop and pulled up Jason's employee file. Tomorrow, we'd have a different kind of talk here at the office, where I'm the boss and not a father who forgot the difference. If Jason wanted to treat me like a stranger, I could accommodate him professionally. At 7:30 a.m., I walked through Bennett Contracting's lobby, 2 hours before Jason's usual arrival. His employee photo hung on the manager's wall, smile confident in the suit I'd bought him. Today, I studied that picture and saw entitlement where I had once seen promise. In my office, Jason's personnel record spread out like evidence. 8 years told the story. Missed deadlines. Complaints from subcontractors. Inflated expense reports. Projects delayed while he ate long lunches instead of walking the site. Client relationships strained by a casual attitude toward commitments. I'd made excuses. Family. Linda's reminders that he was still learning. But these pages laid out a pattern of negligence that would have ended anyone else's career years ago. At 8:45, I called Emily Carter, our HR director. She would make sure we handled the paperwork properly. She didn't look surprised when I explained. She had documented these issues for months, waiting for the day I would act. I'll prepare the termination documents right away, she said. Security escort? Yes. Standard for management separations. I practiced my remarks in the window's reflection, keeping the tone even, no emotion, no elaboration beyond what the law required. He would enter as my son, the employee, and leave as a terminated staff member. At 9:30, Jason strolled in 15 minutes late, cracking jokes with the receptionist about recovering from Amber's party. Coworkers glanced nervously toward my door. He stopped at the coffee machine, still oblivious. Jason, please come to my office, I said over the intercom. My voice sounded different. Sure, Dad, he called, just grabbing coffee. Now, Jason. The silence that followed told me he'd heard the change. His footsteps came slower than usual. He opened the door and clocked Emily waiting with paperwork. His smile thinned. What's with the formal setup? He tried, but the confidence drained. I stayed seated, hands folded. Jason, your employment with Bennett Contracting is terminated effective immediately. He laughed once, too loud. Good one, Dad. Seriously. I slid the termination packet across the desk. Please review and sign where indicated. He lifted the papers like they might scald him. His eyes went to the legal language. The color left his face. You can't be serious. This is a family business. This decision is based on performance and conduct, I said evenly. Your position has been eliminated due to restructuring. This is about yesterday's phone call, isn't it? His voice thinned. I'm sorry about the money. We can work this out. Security will escort you to collect your personal items, I said. Desperation broke across his face. Mom wouldn't want this. You know she wouldn't. He leaned forward, reaching for guilt. I pressed the security button. This is a business decision, not a personal one. Mark Lewis appeared at the door, professional but not unkind. Jason's face went brick red as it became real. People in the hallway watched the owner's son escorted out like any other manager. Dad, please. He clutched his coffee mug and a framed picture of Amber. Think about what this means. I have, I said. He left with a small box. Through the window, I watched him loading the car. His shoulders shaking from anger or grief. I couldn't tell. When he looked back at the building one last time, I turned away. Emily returned with signed forms. All access is revoked. Computer disabled. I lifted Jason's photo from the manager's wall and laid it face down in my desk drawer. The blank space looked cleaner. My assistant knocked. Mr. Bennett, someone's here without an appointment. Designer heels clicked down the marble. Amber swept in past reception, hair perfect but wind-ruffled. Jason followed, smaller now, a faint shadow of the man who'd sauntered in earlier. How dare you humiliate Jason like that? Amber's voice filled the doorway as she pointed at me. I didn't stand. Jason wedged himself between her and my desk, mortification deepening. Amber, let me... She ignored him. We have bills. We have a lifestyle to maintain. This family business belongs to Jason, too. This is a private workplace, I said. You need to leave. Her face flushed deeper. We want severance. 6 months. He's worked here 8 years. You owe us. Jason was at will, I replied evenly. No severance is owed by law or contract. She went for blood. Linda would be ashamed. You're having some kind of breakdown, aren't you? Just a bitter old man taking it out on us? Jason's face drained. Amber, stop! My jaw tensed. I kept my voice level. It was the reaction I expected, manipulation pretending to be righteous anger. Dad, Jason tried again, I know I messed up with the funeral. I'm sorry. But ruining my career won't bring Mom back. Think about our family future grandkids. The air hung thick. I looked at the man who shared my DNA, but not my values. What family? Amber escalated. We'll sue for half of Linda's estate. Jason gets his share. We know about the life insurance. Linda left everything to me, I said simply. Amber blinked, thrown. That's not possible. We're getting a lawyer. I pressed the security button. Her voice shot higher. Mark returned with backup, filling the doorway. Employees gathered, drawn by the commotion. I'm not leaving, Amber shouted as security approached. This is theft. This is abuse. They walked her out loud, furious. The whole hallway heard every accusation as she was escorted through the lobby. When the noise settled, Jason stood alone. He tried one last angle, soft and close. I'm all the family you have left. Meant to crack me open. It clarified everything instead. I looked at him and said the truth he needed to hear. No, you're someone who used to be my son. His face crumpled. For a blink, I saw the little boy who ran to me after school. Then he was gone and an entitled stranger remained. He left without another word. I addressed the team, steady and brief. This was a personal matter. Operations would continue as usual. Heads nodded. They knew the history. Please make sure Mrs. Jason Bennett is never allowed in this building again, I told security. Alone, my hands shook a little. The hardest part was done. I looked at Linda's photo. I hope you understand. I opened my computer and searched for estate attorneys. It was time to move the next piece. I scheduled an appointment with Daniel Park for that afternoon. Jason's birthday reminder flashed on my calendar for next month. I deleted it. Park Cole LLP occupied the top floor downtown, windows sweeping over Brookfield's skyline. At 2:30 p.m., I walked into reception with my leather briefcase holding Linda's will, the insurance policies, and the financial records that would redraw my family's future. The receptionist recognized me from past matters, and led me to Daniel's corner office, filled with quiet authority rows of law books, 2 active case files open on the table, sunlight across the carpet. Daniel stood, eyes full of real concern. We'd known each other 20 years. He'd handled Linda's will, my incorporation papers, and a lot of quiet problems in between. "How are you holding up, Frank?" he asked. I declined the coffee and sat. "I need to make changes to my estate plan." "Of course," he said, sliding into professional mode. "Updating beneficiaries after Linda's passing is standard." "No." I opened my briefcase. "I'm removing Jason entirely." He took the words like a body blow and then steadied. "I need to understand what's driving this." I told him about the funeral, the absence, and gave him Jason's exact words about Amber's birthday. With each detail, Daniel's expression darkened. As Linda's friend and our family lawyer, he understood the weight. "I want a completely new will," I said. "The primary beneficiary will be the Linda Bennett Memorial Foundation." He leaned forward, now measuring the legal contours. "Frank, I'm obligated to make sure you're thinking clearly about this." I've never been clearer. I described the foundation, scholarships for kids who need them, cancer research in Linda's name, and support for the causes she championed. Jason to be explicitly excluded, along with any future descendants. His eyebrows rose, a kind of respect in the look. We drafted a structure, shift company assets into an irrevocable trust to protect them. I'd retain control during my lifetime. On my death, the foundation would take ownership. "We'll update all insurance beneficiaries," he noted, making crisp notes. "This is solid, thorough planning." I told him I would sell the family home and donate the proceeds. Linda's jewelry would be auctioned for charity. The single exception, her wedding ring would be buried with me when my time came. "What about Jason's childhood items?" Daniel asked, gentle. "Donate? I'm removing Jason from my life," I said. "That includes the shrine we built to who he used to be." He did his duty, checked my mental state, asked about coercion, capacity, intent. My answers were rational and steady. He moved from worried friend to confident professional. We signed the documents with 2 firm witnesses. My hand was steady even if the meaning shook the ground under us. Daniel explained, "These instruments took immediate legal effect. Jason was disinherited in full. Send him formal notice," I said. We layered on more. Revoked power of attorney, medical directives excluding him from health decisions, a living will with specific instructions. Daniel documented my competency to the letter. Tomorrow I would visit banks to remove Jason as a beneficiary on retirement accounts and investments. Daniel offered to coordinate. Talking through the foundation plan brought unexpected peace. I named Daniel as a trustee, sketched the board, listed the first scholarship slots. Linda's love for education would be the engine running long after me. "Linda would be proud of this," Daniel said, closing his folder. "She always believed in helping kids like that." For the first time in days, something eased in me. This wasn't revenge. It was justice. We shook hands outside his office. My phone showed 3 missed calls from Jason, the first signs that reality had reached him. I deleted the voicemails and walked to the garage. The next phase waited. The Brookfield Country Club looked the same as always. Mahogany paneling, crystal chandeliers, portraits of founding members. I'd walked those halls 15 years as board treasurer. 12 board members gathered around the long table. Quiet talk clipped short as the meeting neared. Leather and fresh coffee scented the room. "Ah, Frank, the memorial service was beautiful," said William Hart, our board president. "Linda would have been pleased." "Thank you for the flowers," I said. Carolyn stepped into the conversation, face earnest. I kept looking for Jason. Where was he? The moment I'd expected hovered. I let truth serve Linda better than politeness. He chose not to attend his mother's funeral. Silence spread like ripples. Caroline went pale. "What do you mean, chose not to?" I repeated Jason's exact line about Amber's birthday being more important. The disgust on faces around the table said what needed saying. William's wife, Nancy, caught just enough of it from the hallway and stepped away, phone already in hand. Within an hour, the story worked through the bridge club and out across Brookfield's social circuit like a brush fire. I went home unaware of the storm on the way. The first hit Amber the next morning. Her upscale yoga studio asked her to leave mid-session. We prefer members who prioritize family values, the owner said. Jason's lunch reservation at the club was canceled with a polite call. Their regular table at Bruno's suddenly wasn't available anymore. Amber's confusion hardened into anger when the pattern became undeniable. Saturday brought Jason's worst moment. Golf partners offered thin excuses and left early. The pro shop manager suggested he might be more comfortable elsewhere. He walked to his car alone and understood what silence meant in a town like ours. At Bergman Boutique, Amber's years of warm greetings turned frosty. Her credit application hit additional review. The manager suggested she try shopping somewhere else. Jason's world shrank at the same pace. Interviews were canceled outright. Former business contacts stopped replying. The chamber lunch turned short and awkward. Everywhere he went, the story arrived first. The final straw came at Lux Salon when Amber's appointment was unavoidably canceled. She overheard two clients discussing her heartless husband and fled in tears. The society column mentioned the conspicuous absence at Linda's service. Church members expressed open disappointment. Old friends crossed the street when they saw them coming. Jason's explanations didn't land. Saying I exaggerated earned eye rolls. Brookfield had decided. Amber eventually broke down and came apart at home, demanding Jason fix what he had destroyed. When he admitted he didn't know how, she threatened to leave if it didn't change fast. I heard the fallout in fragments, not seeking it, but not surprised either. Our town still held to simple things: loyalty, respect for the dead, basic decency. Jason had failed all three. The community honored Linda by rejecting anyone who dishonored her. One morning as I buttered toast, my phone rang. The bank manager's voice was carefully professional. "Mr. Bennett, Jason and Amber's mortgage payment is 30 days overdue. You're listed as guarantor. Do you plan to make a payment?" "I'd like to meet tomorrow to discuss my guarantees," I said. Financial pressure would complete what social exile had begun. At 9 a.m., I walked River Valley Bank's marble lobby, past oil portraits of farmers and builders who made this town. David Harris's office overlooked the river, where barges carried grain and steel. He had Jason's file out: mortgage papers, loan agreements, guarantee forms, a paperwork portrait of dependents that was about to be redrawn. "Frank, thanks for coming," David said, formal. "Jason's mortgage is now 60 days delinquent. The amount due is $18,400. You're expecting my guarantee," I said. "Well, yes, as you've done the last 3 months. I'm withdrawing my guarantee effective immediately." He blinked, color draining. "I don't understand. You've backed this loan for 8 years. I slid across Daniel's prepared letter. 30 days notice, as required." And David dialed the legal department on speaker. I watched commuters cross the bridge. Linda and I had loved walking. Counsel confirmed I was within my rights. "This means we'll have to begin foreclosure proceedings," David said, voice tight. "I understand. Please proceed." Across town, Jason trudged into his 10th interview in 2 weeks. The same tight smile, the same cool questions, the same dismissal. "We'll be in touch, Mr. Bennett." He knew they wouldn't. That afternoon, Amber's platinum card declined at Nordstrom on a tube of mascara. There must be a mistake. The phone rep was crisp. "Your co-signer withdrew his guarantee. The account is suspended pending full payment." Other customers watched while she tried to argue reality away. The truth landed with a dull thud. I had removed the safety nets they'd treated as permanent. They pulled up to a dark house. The utility notice on the door listed 1-200 past due. When the call center learned Jason had been terminated, any leniency talk ended. They ate by candlelight, the first real lesson. Amber paced the living room floor, heels ticking like a metronome for blame. Jason tried to shift it onto me. She went harder. "Fix it or I'm gone." He applied for credit. Every application failed. Debt to income made nonsense without a job. Amber's cards were maxed. They spoke the word bankruptcy without flinching for the first time. They held a garage sale of luxury things that fetched embarrassingly little. Wedding gifts their friends had paid hundreds sold for 20. Cars slowed, neighbors stared, Few stopped. Amber watched her jewelry disappear. Jason sold his golf clubs to a teenager with crumpled bills. The BMW repossession in daylight turned into neighborhood theater. Jason gathered personal items while the driver waited. Amber shouted. Curtains quivered up and down the street. I drove past and saw the mess through the windows. It wasn't cruelty, it was consequence. Linda loved that phrase. Actions bring results. Jason was finally in class. He called and asked to meet, said he had something important to say. I chose Pinecrest Park, the path where I ran alongside a smaller Jason wobbling on a bike, both of us laughing. I hung up and looked at the photo of him in a helmet, then laid the frame face down on my desk. 6 months after my bank meeting, the county foreclosure auction took place on the courthouse steps. I sat across the street in a black sedan and watched 812 Cedar Lane. Jason and Amber's dream go up for sale. The auctioneer read the legal description in a drone to a small crowd of investors and the curious. Jason and Amber stood apart, her tears catching the morning sun like glass. Through binoculars, I watched reality arrive. Opening bid is $280,000 for this 4-bedroom colonial, the auctioneer said. A woman in a navy suit raised her hand. Jason squinted, whispering urgently to Amber. The price crept to $315,000. The woman's bid trading with a local contractor. When Daniel Park arrived and nodded to the woman in navy, Jason's suspicion turned to recognition. That's Dad's lawyer, he said, voice carrying farther than he meant. He wouldn't. He couldn't. He tried to approach. Security stepped between. The auction ticked on, indifferent. $317,000, the woman said. Going once, going twice. Sold. Jason sagged. Amber screamed, "This is our home!" The gavel came down like a period. I stepped out of my car and walked toward the steps. The guarantee withdrawal, the timing, the bid, pegged to the outstanding balance, every move had been planned. The woman introduced herself. Michelle Reed, my assistant, bidding on behalf of Reed Holdings, LLC. Jason staggered forward, voice thready. How could you do this to us? I didn't do anything, I said. The bank did. He gestured at the flower beds. Mom loved that garden. Linda isn't here to see what you've become, I said quietly. Amber lunged with accusations: elder abuse, incompetence, theft. Daniel calmly documented her tirade while security guided her away. The scene revealed more about them than anything I could have said. 2 weeks later, a moving truck sat awkwardly in their driveway, too small for the life they thought they deserved. Amber hurled clothes into suitcases, while Jason carefully wrapped Linda's crystal vase, the last true tether to his mother. Neighbors watched from windows. No one offered help. The social cost had been paid in full. That evening, Amber delivered her verdict. I can't live like this, she said. She admitted she'd reached out to her ex, the one who owned several restaurants. I married into a wealthy family, not this. Her last line was a knife. Your father was right about us. Jason spent his final night alone in the echoing house, walking through rooms that held a different life in their walls. In the kitchen drawer, he found Linda's note. Jason, remember we love you. For the first time, his tears seemed unperformed. He understood what had actually been lost. Michelle handed me the keys without comment. I had contractors lined up to renovate. The plan was to donate it to a family that needed one. Linda would have called it justice. She would have been right. That night, Jason called from a payphone outside a budget motel. He'd lost his cell service. The house phone rang. I saw his name and let it roll to voicemail. The final conversation could wait until I was calm enough to speak at once and be done. 3 months after losing the house. On a cold November evening, Jason stood at my front door at 7:30. I watched him from the living room, his finger hovering at the bell like a man on a ledge. I opened the door but didn't invite him in. He looked older, scruff on his face, wrinkled shirt, jeans that didn't fit right. He had aged 5 years and 6 months. Dad, I know I messed up, he began, voice shaking. He delivered a speech about understanding now. I listened from the threshold as he talked about a studio above a laundromat, minimum wage at Mike's fuel stop, Amber leaving for the restaurant owner. I've learned what matters, he said. Then he slid back into old tactics. Suggested I must be lonely in this big house. offered to be the son Mom wanted. I knew every lever by feel. "When is your mother's birthday?" I asked. He paused too long and guessed. "June 15th? What's her favorite flower? Roses?" "Daisies," I said. The truth landed between us. He had never really known his mother. His frustration surged. The old tone slipped back. "This is ridiculous. Just tell me what you want me to say." Then came the ask. "Okay, yes, I need help." Eviction notices, promises to repay, reminders that I had enough to help family. And the closer, Mom would be heartbroken to see us like this. She believed in second chances. "I miss her too, Dad. We both loved her." For a moment, Linda's softness tugged at me. Then I remembered, this was the scenario she feared most. "You want to know what your mother really thought?" I brought out Linda's journal from the nightstand and read the entry aloud. "I'm worried Jason only loves our money. What if we raised a child who can't love?" The silence that followed said more than any plea. "Linda died knowing what you are," I said. "She changed her will. She left you nothing because she knew you'd waste it." His mask dropped. He threatened to contest the will, called me senile, promised to make trouble. He ended with venom. "I hope you die alone in this house." I stepped back and closed the door. He pounded for minutes while I filled the kettle. When his car finally pulled away, I sat in Linda's favorite chair, with her journal in my lap, and felt, for the first time since she died, something like peace. I looked at our wedding photo and said, "It's finished, my love." A year later, I walked through Oak Grove Cemetery on a bright May morning with fresh daisies. Birds worked the oaks. Spring flowers lined the paths. I looked healthier than I had in years. At Linda's stone, I knelt and arranged the flowers, talking softly about the Linda Bennett Memorial Foundation's first year. 20 scholarships awarded to kids who needed them. $200,000 to cancer research in Linda's name. A community center dedication planned for her birthday. "Jason's at Mike's fuel stop on Route 6, I added matter-of-factly. His divorce finalized. Amber married the restaurant owner. Jason lived in a small place and kept to himself. I didn't feel glad about his suffering. I felt the rightness of cause and effect. Justice, not revenge. On the way home, I ducked into Sunflower Diner. Jason was behind the counter in a stained uniform. Our eyes met. Recognition and shame moved across his face when I ordered coffee, polite as I would with anyone. "How are you doing, Dad?" he asked, voice smaller. "I'm well, thank you." "I know sorry isn't enough," he said. "No," I said. "It isn't." He nodded, eyes wet. "I get it now. It was never about the money. You wanted me to love you, not your wallet. Mom understood that. She won that one, didn't she?" The tears felt real. "I did what I had to do," I said. "Linda would have approved. I have no regrets." "I know," he said faintly. "I deserved it." "Yes," I said. "You did." He swallowed. "Is there any way back?" "I don't know," I said. "Maybe, but not with words. Show me." I told him about my life volunteering at the community center, Sunday dinners with the Johnsons, whose daughter received a scholarship, my friendship with Grace, a gentle widow from church, a life fuller than the one I had before. Visiting Sarah Patterson. Our first scholarship recipient filled me with something like joy. She'd written a letter to Linda on our foundation site, thanking her for the chance to study nursing. Linda's love of education kept breathing. Driving past Jason's old house, I slowed. The Ramirez family had turned it into a home. A vegetable garden grew where Linda had once planted herbs. Children tumbled across the grass. Mr. Ramirez waved. The house held what Linda always wanted it to hold. That evening, I cooked in the kitchen. I used to share with Linda and set one plate without sadness. The phone rang, Grace calling about weekend plans, and I smiled, the first easy smile I'd felt since Linda left. In the garden at sunset, I pruned Linda's rose bushes and felt the steady quiet of a man who fought for what was right and won. I knew I had honored her. I slept early and deeply for the first time in 2 years and dreamed of Linda's voice, clear and soft. "You did the right thing, Frank. I'm proud of you. Justice held. Love required hard choices, the right ones. Rest easy, my love. If you like this story, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. To hear the next story, click the box on the left. Thank you for listening.